This is the story of those days when Buddha was spending his time in Marwan. By this time, the fame of Buddha had spread far and wide. People from far and wide would come to Buddha to solve their worries and problems. One such day, when Buddha was giving a sermon to his disciples in Marwan, a young man was walking towards Buddha with his young son. When they reached the place, Buddha looked at them and told them to sit down. When the sermon was over and everyone had left, Buddha called that man to sit down. There was greenery all around. The weather was very pleasant and the sounds of various birds were echoing. Seeing this, that man was feeling very peaceful inside. After this, Buddha asked the reason for coming to him. The man replied, "I have come to introduce my son to you after a 2-day-long journey. He is my only son and he is always tired. It seems as if he has no life in him. His nature has also become very irritable. If we say anything to him, he gets angry at our little things. His ability to see has also become weak even before his age. And his hair has also turned white. At such a young age, such a big age, I don't understand anything. In fact, I'm very worried about my son's health. When I took my son to the Vedas, they gave him some medicine and said, 'Ask your son to take less stress. He takes a lot of stress in his mind. That's why he's in such a state.' But even after explaining to him a lot, I did not understand the meaning of stress. I do not know what stress is, or what causes it, and how to get it out of my son's mind. But first of all, I have to understand what stress is. That's why I've come to you. Please solve my problem." Listen, Buddha looks at his son very carefully. He looks at his face, he looks at his eyes, and then he also looks at the pulse of his hands. After doing all this, Buddha says to that person, "No one wants to take stress. But still this stress catches people's minds like a magnet, and the person does not even know that he is living in stress. But if a person understands the causes of stress well, and makes some kind of equation about stress, so that he can know how much stress he is in, then he can also find a solution to this problem." First of all, you understand what stress is. Whenever a person is doing some work but his mind is wandering somewhere, is in imagination, then there is a distance between his body and mind. The more this distance is, the more the person is in a state of unconsciousness. And the body is the same distance between him and his mind. And stress is called tension. After all, after playing a favorite game, why does the person get full of excitement and happiness, although he has exhausted his body? But the thing to understand is that while playing, the mind and body are fully concentrated in that game together, due to which there is no distance between the body and the mind, and there is no tension. And if there was any tension in the mind, then it also goes away. But on the contrary, when we do something that we do not like, then our body is doing that work, but our mind is wandering somewhere in the imagination, due to which a distance has been created between the body and the mind, and tension has taken birth. That is why a person should do only one thing at a time, and all the power of his body and mind should be invested in that one work, due to which there is no tension in the person. After this, Buddha said, there are 8 main reasons for tension. Whoever understands these reasons, he can be free of tension all his life. First reason among the main reasons is being too ambitious. Being ambitious is a good thing. Have you ever paid attention to the fact that a person's goals are never fulfilled? If one of his goals is not fulfilled, he starts running towards the other. If the second goal is fulfilled, he starts running towards the third. And in this way, he keeps wandering all his life to achieve his goals. That is why a person who is too ambitious, who has set big goals, he is never able to stay in the present. His mind is always busy making plans for the future. His body remains in the present, but the mind remains in the future, which creates a distance between the mind and the body, and he starts living a life full of tension. Hearing this from Buddha, that boy said, "If there is Buddha, then it means that we should not make goals, because making goals is also an ambition." On this, Buddha said, "Making goals in life is not wrong, but the problem arises when he puts all his attention on the result obtained from that goal and keeps worrying about its result. A person should know how to live in the present. You make goals and work hard to achieve that goal. But at the same time, you should also be aware of the fact that you are still living in the present, and the present is the truth." Buddha further said, "The second biggest reason for tension is jealousy. When a person is filled with jealousy, his mind starts rotting from within. Jealousy is an internal wound. Internal wound means the wound of the mind. The wound of a person's body can be filled, but the wound of the mind can never be filled. Therefore, a person should never be jealous of the happiness and success of others, because jealousy is the reason for tension. After this, Buddha said the third reason for tension: not doing the desired work also creates tension in the mind. The work that we do not like, the work that we are not interested in, our mind will not be able to get involved in that work. Our body will remain there, but our mind will be filled with imaginations, which creates a distance between the body and the mind, and the person becomes tense. Therefore, a person should always work according to his interest. If a person finds out which work he likes to do and he makes that work his goal in life, then that work does not become a work for him but becomes a game. Then Buddha said, the fourth reason for tension is to be better than someone else. Buddha pointed to that person and said, as a father, you will have a lot of expectations from your son, that your son should become a very successful person, make your name proud, live the kind of life you want, listen to everything you say. But has anyone's expectations ever been fulfilled? Whenever a person has expectations from someone else, then he unknowingly creates tension for himself. Just think, if your son is not working according to you, and he is not able to become what you want him to be, then tension will definitely catch your mind. You will start living a life full of tension, and you will behave in such a way that your relationship with your son will get worse. Therefore, a person should have as few expectations as possible from others. And if you want to be completely free of tension, then stop having expectations from others. After this, Buddha said, physical pain is also a cause of stress for a person. When a person is going through physical pain, then his entire attention is on that physical pain, and he keeps thinking about it all day, which fills his mind with thoughts of pain. And in such a situation, the person starts being stressed. Hearing this, the person said, "O Buddha, any person can have physical pain. So what happened? The person will live in stress all his life." Answering this, Buddha said, a person should understand that our life is the basis of suffering. As our life progresses, there is suffering, there are diseases, and in the end there is death. So diseases are an integral part of a person's life. No one can escape them. It just comes in someone's life before time. So it comes after someone. When a person understands this well, then he starts thinking about his disease. He will not get too stressed by thinking, because this is an integral part of our life. And for this, a person should continue to practice physically. Exercise in his life and a healthy lifestyle should be given space so that his body can work properly for a long time. The next reason for stress is not giving time to understand your plans. Some people have no idea that they start working on it without thinking. And when they fail in that work, they are filled with stress, because before starting that work, they had not collected all the information about it. Before starting any work, a person should think carefully about its good and bad consequences. A person should also think about that if this plan is not successful, then what will I do after this? Therefore, a person should give full time to understand his plans, so that later there is no stress due to that plan. The seventh biggest reason for stress is procrastination. Today's work is postponed to tomorrow. You must have heard this saying that laziness is the biggest enemy of the human body. A person postpones today's work for tomorrow due to laziness, and then postponing the work becomes his habit. A person who postpones his work for tomorrow can never finish his work on time. And even if it is completed in some way, it is not as good as it could be done. And then this thing creates stress in the person. But postponing the work or doing the work at the last minute is a habit. Therefore, even if the person does not want, he becomes a victim of this habit again and again and keeps postponing the work. And then, when the time of work comes near, he tries to complete the work by being full of stress. Therefore, to remain stress-free, a person will have to give up the habit of postponing work. And this is only possible when a person decides to finish the work before time. The last and most important reason for stress is overthinking. Thinking continuously is also a disease. And this is found most in that person who only imagines, who keeps thinking about the events of the past and the things of the future, who keeps assuming for no reason. Therefore, a person should focus on the habit of thinking more. For this, as much as possible, he should keep himself busy in work, and practice meditation every day should make it a part of his life. Hearing all this from Buddha's mouth, that person joined his hands and said, "Buddha, My son is only 20 years old, and he does not even understand so much yet that he can follow all the things you have told him. Please tell me an easy way to remain stress-free so that my son can follow it and remain stress-free." Hearing this prayer of that person, Buddha replied thinking, "If you cannot follow so many things, then there is a very easy way for this. You just focus on doing one thing once. Whatever work you are doing at that time, just do that work. Just concentrate on it. And if your mind wanders here and there, then as soon as you remember, put it back in the same work. This is the easiest and best way to remain stress-free. When you eat at that time, just eat. Enjoy the full taste of it. Experience it. When you walk, just focus on walking. With this, your mind and your body will be centered at one place. There will be no distance between the two, which is the main cause of stress. So, as far as possible, try to do only one thing at a time, that too with full concentration. Friends, I hope that you have learned a lot from this video. Thank you. Take care of yourself.